All right, we're gonna make an animated film, right? All right, I'm the person. Fuck. Let's restart.
And that's how we do the animated films here at Cinderella French Studios. I don't fucking know the name. We're not restarting anything. Welcome to Rough Cuts. That's as high energy as they've got it. We're good. We nailed it.
I bumped my whole fucking table.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
Go and get some big wildflowers. If you go down nature's path, go and get.
Madame, your lovely daughters deserve the very best.
Oh, yes, if I could only find each of them a husband.
Bring me pretty poppies. If you go out to the fair,
I know.
please bring me pretty poppies, or I'll shave off all my hair.
Are we glad that we watched this? Yes,
you should
yes,
check out
we
my
are.
darling daughter,
No.
spitting image of their mother, don't you think?
Spitting is
I fucking
indeed
hate
the right word.
this.
Hi, this is Rough Cuts, our podcast where we watch a bad dog movie and then immediately talk about it afterwards. I'm your host, Ilian, and here's my lovely co-host, Boix.
Yeah.
This
Look,
fucking sicko who picked Cinderella.
Halloween happened, and we had to do a bunch of spooky movies, so I figured, we need to go back to a family film, right? Go back to our roots. That's right, the All Adam Sandler podcast. Welcome to Rough Cuts, where we only watch Adam Sandler
Oh
movies.
God, no. I'm out.
The true
I
horror.
quit. I'm out. No, I quit.
What do you mean, Ilion? We always watch Adam
We've
Sandler.
always been we've watched 150 of them. Like my mind.
You wake up from a coma, and you're like, what do you mean? We've always done this. Well, I was looking for an Invisible Dog movie.
Yeah, we wanted to watch a family movie, so Boix decided to pick one that had the most family vibes. That's right, one with a female character with the most dump truck Pixar ass imaginable.
So it's a Cinderella movie. Kind of.
Is it? Is it
Kind
really?
of. Right? It basically
It's called
follows
Cinderella.
the Cinderella story. Kind of. It's very, very loose. But, I mean, that could be a family tale, right? But
There's some tail in this.
it's anthropomorphic animals.
Sure.
And it's made by a French-Belgian studio
Yeah.
as a tax write-off.
Yep, sure was. Yeah.
And,
Keep
and
going.
so they asked for animal people, but I don't think they understood the assignment because they're more people than animals.
Ask for animal people. Yeah.
And they're
Tell
like,
me about those French animal people, Boix.
could you put your pants back on? It's kind of weird.
No.
But they asked, they're like, all right, we're gonna have a deer as our main character. That's gonna be Cinderella. The kids love Cinderella. It's this classic tale that Disney stole and then made a bunch of money on in the 30s or whenever Cinderella came out.
Kids love Cinderella and dads love the dump truck asses. So
Of
let's
Pixar
sit this
moms.
out for the whole family.
So I want you to make an anthropomorphic deer. All right, with a flat human face? Sure.
Yeah.
What if they all have flat human faces, except for some that don't, for some reason? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. Here. All right, here's your deer with that huge, giant dumpy, just like you asked.
Just the biggest dumper possible. Also, can we make it so that her waist is small enough that it looks like every time she takes a step, she's about to break her spine?
It's just her spine in the middle.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's an hourglass that's so hourglass that it's just spine, and then back to the hips.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they were thinking with that. I mean, I know what they were thinking. I mean, this movie got a 10 out of 10 review on Amazon.
It got a few
Through
10 out of 10
IMDb.
reviews. Yeah. Do you want to read the one that you found?
This fucking review. Hi, basically, you have to be own something or bored. 10 out of 10. This movie slaps. I was up at 2 and got curious and decided to watch it. From the get-go, I was like, what the fuck? This is such a movie you watch when high. Everything that happened in the movie was just special in its own way. Also, much of the movie just made me hate stuff, and the people are stupid. I kinda don't F with Cinderella.
Keep going.
But she got the figure I'm jealous of.
Yeah, she fucking does, baby! Cinderella fucks!
The people are hella dumb, the mother acts like she high all the time, and the prince is just trying to live. The stepmother is a funny red flag. The daughter yeah, I didn't know it was a furry movie until it started, and I looked like, what the fuck? 10 out of 10. 0 out of 1 people found this helpful.
That was pretty helpful for me, honestly, in picking this movie.
I think even if you're high in this movie's too boring.
This movie would be way too boring. This thing is so fucking boring.
There's nothing
Oh my
here.
god.
Why is it
what was the explosions?
that?
Oh.
The ship is making water noises.
Be sure not to do anything to my prince, you idiot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow, I feel a lot of danger.
Look at all the danger and action
Action?
and tension going on.
Get them immediately! Make macaroons of them! Hurry!
Oh, we got music again. Nice.
Well, you see, they remembered. And there's some baffling story decisions. Like, okay, so it's in the West. The title, by the way, Cinderella, Once Upon a Time in the West is the English title. The original title is Cinderella 3D in the Far West. Because it's a French-Belgian
Because it's French movie,
production.
yeah.
And I think it also came out in 3D. Because it was just called Cinderella 3D also.
It would have to, right?
But the 3D could also just mean like the 3D animation. It's hard.
Maybe it's just her dimensions. They're just measuring her waist.
If it's a 3D movie, did they only pop out the ass? Like, can you... That's the only thing that's 3D in the whole film.
I can tell you,
right?
I'm kind of sad for our intro, because I was thinking, I used to have a recorder, and I was going to pull that out to match some of
there
the
was a
music in
recorder
this.
scene. Yeah,
There's a lot of really great music in this movie.
I need
There's
you
a
to make
selection.
a soundtrack for our Western Cinderella movie. All right, I got the farty trumpets, the farty tuba, the farty trombones, and the children's
I got the
recorder that you asked for.
the children's recorder, the violin that we're just gonna constantly make screeching noises on. It's great. It'll be good. It's got. Families love when their kids play instruments, right? What if we had all that energy in our movie?
Oh, the farty trumpet's back.
Well, yeah, there's a chase scene. If you can call this a chase scene.
You know how, like, in the NES days, when a movie would come out, and they would make a video game for it, but they just didn't give a shit about the video game, so they would just do anything. They wouldn't even watch the film. They would just release a game, like Back to the Future, with the worst soundtrack that took 10 seconds to make ever.
Yeah.
Like, that's this movie. It's like they watched... I was comparing this to Puss in Boots, the Shrek.
Yeah, and it's
spin-off.
not.
It's not, but it's... There's some comparisons.
Just in that it's a fairy tale with animals, I would say.
Yeah, but it's like they watched that, didn't understand any of it, went home and did their homework, and then came up with this at the end of it. Right? Like, they just released it.
They heard the name Cinderella, and they heard that there was a mother and a prince, and that's all that they knew. That's literally all that they knew about Cinderella. There's daughters, there's a stepmom, and there's a prince. And then they didn't do any other
They also heard about
notes.
the shoe.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Because that's what they do with the shoe. That's not a shoe, boys.
It's fucked
That's
up.
not a shoe. They go some fucking places with that. Like that. So this movie is weird because it's one of those other ones. This happens so often where we'll talk about a movie and it's gonna sound so much more interesting than it actually is because the plot points of it are fucked. Like beyond.
I don't think this movie understands its own plot points.
No, but that makes it sound like it's got high energy, but it doesn't because everybody's line deliveries are, "Oh no, they're coming after us. I think we should go quick."
Yes. We're getting shot at. Let me casually walk over here and
dodge
sit down.
those bullets, please.
You know,
Cinderella, I'd really like to stick this tooth in your mouth and then fuck that dump truck ass.
You want a what? Sorry. No, but so what I wanted to say is it's kind of like poetry. It rhymes because we just watched Pixels.
Yes.
And that is also a low energy performance movie.
Yes.
And compared to Pixels, I think there's actually more energy in this movie than in Pixels. Pixels had louder noises.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. Pixels at least has fast movement at points. Like this movie is embarrassing in that they have like some fight scenes and things like that, or chase scenes. But everybody, it's like they slowed it down to quarter speed.
Let me walk that back. You said it was embarrassing. I think you meant pathetic.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Either one. That works too.
Okay. All right. No, just say it, words matter.
You're not wrong. But like it literally is slowed down to like quarter speed, it feels like, on all of those. Like when they're doing chase scenes, everybody is doing like a walk animation. Like they have a fight scene in the saloon a bar brawl. They have a bar brawl where people kind of gently slap at each other and only like one at a time. There's like 30 people in the room and it'll show them all kind of like shuffling slightly because they didn't want to animate them fully, and then one person will do a slight slap at another and then it'll pause for 3 seconds and they'll go ow, and then the next person will raise their hand and slap back at them very gently and they go ow, and that's the fight scene.
I couldn't tell if they were using pre-used assets for movement, or if they purposefully tried to animate them that way, because sometimes when the prince is like dodging, quote unquote, punches, it just looks like a default animation of somebody moving, and they didn't speed it up or didn't modify it in any way, and it just looks so out of place and weird.
There's a lot of that. A lot of it feels like placeholder animation that they just recycled and tried to reuse
to try and just release this.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie had a $13 million budget.
What?
$13 million.
What?
Yeah, and it made $520,000 worldwide at the box office. So that's tremendous failure. That's why I'm thinking it had to be a tax write-off. They even thank the tax.
Oh yeah, no, they thank the tax. Yeah, no, they specifically they thank two different tax havens at the end of it. It's like thank you to the Belgian tax incentive and the like EU tax write-off scam board. Like it's some bullshit at the end. There's two different ones.
You don't thank your bookies at the end of a film.
Writing
it off.
Yeah, it's a scam. This whole thing is a fucking nightmare. Let's get into the plot of this thing.
Well, we can get into the plot. I wanted to talk about the models real quick.
Oh, sure.
Because we're talking about them having human faces, and they're furry animals. They're supposed to be anthropomorphic. They're supposed to be fuzzy.
They're supposed to be fuzzy. Yes,
and they're just like a human wearing a rubber suit or something. They're so smooth and flat.
They're all
like
smooth.
It looks like latex fetish gear of a dog or something. Like it looks weird.
Welcome, your highnesses. Cheers to Felicity City.
Oh.
I am Felicity.
And
what
I'm
you
very
see
smooth.
is
I
all
don't
me.
know why.
Having you here
We're
is a
all
great honor for simple people
smooth
like
here in
us.
Felicity City.
Please, I'd like to introduce you to my
We all
daughters.
float down here.
Melody,
Look at that.
Harmony. Where are those girls?
Especially Felicity, the mom, is just like
Yes.
the smoothest and it means that for her model in particular, it's really blurry. There's a lot of blur to a lot of the models. There's again that how we talked about that with pixels. There's kind of like a fuzz over everything. Like everything's kind of just got like this Gaussian blur on it. Same thing here. Everything's just there's no sharpness to anything.
This was 2012, so maybe they had low resolution textures and models, but they also spent $13 million, so
it shouldn't look this bad. This thing is, it's not food fight, but it's not.
That's what I wanted to get to.
fight.
It's not that. Like, they're bad models, but they're consistently bad to the point where it kind of blends into its own world of terrible instead of looking out of place like Food Fight, where they just have the anime girl for no reason.
Well, or like the other thing with Food Fight that this one doesn't do, like, God, let's give Once Upon a Time in the West Cinderella its due props. They don't actually have like clipping through walls and like just smear frames to make like a door open and stuff like that. Like they don't just stretch models to make them bigger for different reasons, like to open bars or something.
The bare minimum amount of effort to make it look consistent, which makes the terrible models at least fit better.
Well, and honestly, though, that makes it less interesting.
This movie boring? No.
Yeah. Like,
no. Surprising. What?
Let's give... Alright, we gave the props to Once Upon... Wait, we gave props to Once Upon a Time in the West Cinderella. Now let's give our due props to Food Fight and say that at least by being as bad as it was, it made it more interesting to watch.
This movie didn't have
not Nazi Mr. X.
Knockoff Nazis. Yes. So, you know, I mean, it had its other types of racism.
Don't worry.
But
yeah, like, ooh, boy, racism is a major plot point in this movie.
We can get into the plot. I just wanted to mention the models.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the plot. There's a dear cowgirl who's Cinderella, and she's a real badass who just beats the shit out of everybody that she meets.
Yeah, she drinks her own piss and punches cowpokes.
Yep. And then there's a city in the middle of the West that she's in, and it's called Felicity City because it's owned by the smoothest dog you've ever met, Felicity, and her two daughters. And then she's trying to, like, squeeze all the locals of their money.
Which she does. And then she laments the fact that they don't have money for her to steal anymore, and now she's bored.
Yeah. But it's okay, because there's a prince coming in on a train. Oh no, but the train's being robbed in the slowest, most boring action sequence possible as a bunch of flying monkeys. So there's a bunch of monkey pirates on vultures? Question mark?
I guess vultures, yeah.
Flying after this train very slowly. And then the prince, like, beats one of them up and throws them off the train, but then they're safe.
Beats one of them up is a little bit of an exaggeration.
Well, okay, you're saying that it's exaggeration, but he does blow the guy up with dynamite and
that's not beating him up.
And throw him into a pole, which sounds like worse than beating him up.
That sounds exciting, but it isn't.
Yeah, like The explosion, he lights dynamite that the guy has on his chest and then cuts the cord that he had tying him to the train, and he falls off and blows up. But the blow up is like a puff of smoke.
That's like, it's like a smoke bomb, but like the ones you get during the 4th that are for kids that are... But it's like sputtering the whole time because it's not made right. And...
As a child, we had like the pop cap guns. Like I'm in Canada, so we don't really have fireworks in the same way. But those little pop cap guns, and you'd like light the strip of pop caps. That was way more exciting than this explosion.
Did you ever get those black disc snakes that you could light?
No.
It creates like an ash that comes up in a pillar.
No, like there's none of that.
Those are more exciting. Those
Yes.
are the most boring firework you can buy in the States. Those are more exciting than this action scene.
It's tragic because he does a one-liner and stuff, and you're like, oh, he's lighting the dynamite on him. This might be interesting, and then it just, oh, okay.
That's it. That's all they got.
So
Anyways,
then he makes it to town.
They're going to Felicity City because Felicity wants to sell her daughters to the rich.
Well, but that's not why the noble people are going there.
No, but she wants to sell it to the poor people because they're poor, so she can get their money, but she isn't actually going to sell her daughters. What she really wants to do is to get the prince to marry one of her daughters so she can mooch off of his money.
Yeah.
I think
the prince just shows up here, and there's no reason that he would be here or why they'd visit this small town in the middle of the French Wild West.
The prince is named Vladimir.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's also extremely Russian.
He's Russian. His accent kind of strikes me as kind of Spanish, so it's annoying me. It's definitely Russian, but it's on the edge of...
It's just vaguely foreign.
Spaniard.
Yeah, it's Russian, but it's done by somebody who doesn't speak Russian. It's just done, like, foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, he's trying to do an Antonio Bandai Namco voice.
I disagree with that, but sure.
Which gets really grating after a while, is kind of what I'm getting at.
Oh,
like,
that I'll agree with.
It's extremely
yes.
one note. Of trying to do this impersonation or this voice, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, no. The way that I agree with him being like Antonio Banderas is that he's doing like a very suave.
Oh, you have come to my town, but I am the one with the rose in my mouth. Like that type of thing. Like, he's trying to do that like, I'm suave in French and
he's
like,
better than everybody in a way.
Yeah.
Which, there's a really funny thing about that, because there's so they don't show up for any real reason in this town.
No.
And honestly, there's some implied, like, it's kind of implied to me throughout this film, and I wish that they'd gone somewhere with it, because it would have almost been interesting, that the prince and the duchess, his mom, are fucking scam artists.
They're both scam artists, yes.
Because she's a card shark who literally is just cheating at cards to rob poor people. And he's playing a violin and talking about what, like, a great, I love, like, the concerts and stuff in my home country. And then the racism man, who we'll get to later, gets his violin and is like, wow, this is a cheap piece of shit, and you play it like crap. And just... They roast his ass for it. How blunt he is
about how shit his violin is so funny. That's the only funny thing in the whole film.
And it's... like, they don't do anything with it. He's still just royalty at the end of it. There's no secret. It's just, no, this is just royalty. He just doesn't understand that he's a bad musician with a garbage fucking violin. Which, what?
Yeah.
Why would he not know? What?
But after the train shows up and the Duchess and the Prince are there, the Prince is like, oh, welcome. How's it going, Felicity? I'm here in your town. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm so smooth. We're all smooth in Felicity City.
Yeah. Oh, God, she's
got
like...
smoker's cough.
Yes, I was going to say, she really does have that. She very much has the energy of... Like, it's the Always Sunny in Philadelphia Mac's mom. That's what this is.
Yeah.
She's totally like, she's exactly that character. She's just sitting there like, and like got a beer in her hand the whole time. Like,
right?
Oh God, it's
real
incredible.
Off-putting. I
mean, she's supposed to be the bad guy, but they just make her so despicable and so disgusting that it's kind of like, yeah.
So that night, by the way, Cinderella is her other stepdaughter, I think, or something like, or maybe just a daughter.
They don't,
but she's a pretty cowpoke who spits and punches.
Yeah.
Which isn't like her other two daughters that are ugly and nasty and play the recorder.
And they set up what could be the start of what you'd expect from an actual movie, where she goes, well, everybody's bowing all over this fucking nobility bullshit prince, but fuck that. That's garbage. Who wants to listen to that? And you're like, oh, okay. Like, so then he's got to actually win her over. So there's like some character arcs. There's some story and plot to this. And then she turns around and he's behind her and she goes, oh my God. Oh, the prince. And you're like,
like she immediately gets the vapors.
For him. Okay. Well,
yeah, it's
all right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because, like, why is she a gung ho cowpoke if she's just gonna immediately fall over, right?
And be like this, like nervous little twittering girl around him.
Yeah.
No, there's zero reason.
But that night they have a ball at the saloon where only ugly girls are allowed in because the daughters are also ugly, so they can't let pretty people in because then they'll look ugly next to them.
Yeah.
So they send Cinderella out. So then Cinderella goes out to the desert.
Yes. And they play the worst possible music during this whole thing to show you how untalented and awful the two daughters are. Mm-hmm. The one daughter who has scoliosis, by the way, her walk animation.
Something's wrong with her animation, yeah.
It's really, her hips are like a foot forward from the rest of her body, and they're constantly wiggling, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's really
these nightmare dogs.
I'm not. Yeah, these are two different dogs, and we don't want to rate the dogs in the middle, but we're gonna give some ratings later.
But
yes,
since Cinderella's not at the dance because she can't go there, her friend Little Cloud, who is definitely not a racist stereotype of a Native American, uses Native American magic.
Yeah, we're gonna do a fairy godmother, but what's
he's
the
most fairy godmother?
What's the most magical thing we can think of in France? Oh, I know, indigenous people. Yeah, it's...
What is this, Twilight?
We're gonna... Oh my god. God damn it. Oh my god. It is unbelievable how racist this gets. Like, it's...
Fuck.
It's bad. We're gonna gloss over it because we don't want to just sit here and talk about it, but it's
kind
bad.
of important here, though, because he basically turns her into a Native American princess.
Yes. That's the idea. Yeah.
Which is like the Clark Kent Superman, is what you were saying. Because she doesn't look different.
No.
She's just wearing a feather dress and has makeup on her face. Like a
tiny bit. Like a
war mask type of painting. Oh, God.
Yeah, a very racist, yeah. Like just...
But suddenly nobody can recognize her now.
Yep.
Right? And she looks exactly the same. It's not like she was, unkempt.
No.
And bad hair or anything that would make her look different if you changed her look.
And they didn't show normally, I mean, the whole point of Cinderella, Cinder, is that
fire.
She's covered in soot and stuff because it is though. It is the fire thing. Like she's supposed to be working in the kitchens and being this basically a slave for her stepmom, and instead she doesn't. Is she ever in the same scene with Felicity until the very end of the movie as the stepmom?
Sometimes, she's in the scene with the two daughters. in their room when she walks in. She tells her to get the fuck out.
Oh yeah, I guess for one second.
And then when the two daughters are like, she punched me in the face. Or
oh
whatever,
yeah, they do like
up.
one
There's a couple
scene.
scenes where they do like,
but
the
like there's
Cinderella
almost
stuff,
no interaction between her and the mom, and there's nothing to show like that she's being.
The mom never punishes her like in Cinderella, where she's like,
there's no like
you have to go to your room and you can't go to the party and you can't do it. No,
there's no.
She's just there.
There's hardly a relationship there. Like it doesn't even feel like the mom has way more interactions with basically every other character in the movie than Cinderella. You know, her stepdaughter, kind of the focal point of the story of Cinderella is that whole relationship in a lot of ways, but. I don't know, whatever.
It is, yeah.
But, like, normally the idea, though, is that she would be, like, this unkempt kind of raggedy figure who then, when you clean her up and make her noble, it'd be hard to recognize her. It'd be a transformation.
Right? It wouldn't be you take the glasses off.
Yes. This is, like, she's just wearing a piece of blue paint across her eyes, and that's the only difference.
Right.
That's it.
But at the ball, the Duchess is there playing cards, card sharking a whole room.
Yes.
And the prince falls in love with Cinderella in her racist stereotype makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And they go off and do their own fucking thing. So Felicity's like, well, then I'll get you another way, Prince. I'll go challenge your mom to cards. We'll both cheat. And then I'll talk her into signing away your life as a slave to me and my daughters.
Yep.
Which happens.
Because that's legal and binding, yes, as everyone knows.
Right. And they're not even playing the same card game.
No, that was the most incredible thing. The Duchess has cards up her sleeve, and she pulls out... She shows that she's got 4 kings and then, like, a 2. And then she goes, hit me. Like, I'll play with you for my son's life. And then the Duchess is like, well, I've got the higher hand. And in the center of the table, before anyone reveals cards, is already 3 aces and 2 other cards. So it's like, they're playing Texas Hold'em.
Stud or Texas Hold'em.
That's Texas Hold'em. The Duchess is playing stud because she's got 5 cards in hand. She has 4 kings and a 2. And then when she shows off the 4 kings, the Felicity goes like, aha, see, I beat you, and shows her 1 whole card, a single ace to make the 4 aces. And you're like, wait, but
what game were they playing?
What game are you guys playing here? What is happening? And especially like the Duchess is like so confident while she's sitting there with 4 kings in her hand, looking at a board with 3 aces, and you're like,
like the best hand you have is 4 of a kind, but
it's beaten by a single card. It's not that unlikely. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know what they were. I don't think they've ever played poker. Is what it comes down to.
This really feels like people that have never played cards. They have absolutely no idea.
But the Duchess loses her son's right to freedom, I guess.
I guess.
And all of her money, because she also lost all of the money in that same transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And then as Cinderella and the prince come back into the bar after escaping from a pirate ape fight.
Yeah.
Out in the desert. It starts a bar brawl as the pirate apes show up.
Yes.
And it's the most uninteresting, boring bar brawl ever.
Mm-hmm.
And during that brawl, Cinderella gets punched in the face and loses a tooth on the bar, which the prince grabs.
Which is going to be important later. That's right.
The prince grabs and immediately pockets.
Because
he's gonna look at that tooth later.
Oh man, look, I gotta get her tooth. I really like her.
And then I think...
Oh no. Like when that happened, I literally screamed. I was just like, no.
It's real bad. It's real bad.
You can't.
And I think what happens, like, she leaves the bar brawl because the magic is wearing off, the Cinderella magic. And she
the magic? What magic? She has a different dress
She's turning back into a cowpoke, I guess. I don't know.
It literally just changes from a dress to back to her jeans and a shirt. That's the change.
Yeah.
Like, she walks outside and she transforms, which is she loses her dress and goes to jeans and her shirt.
And then at the same time, the apes abduct the Duchess in a treasure chest because they're pirates.
Yes.
And then Felicity grabs a Tommy gun.
Yep. Yeah, she does.
Mom, and starts blasting at them as they casually walk away, ignoring the gunfire.
Mm-hmm.
With no energy or anything to the scene.
No.
It's fucking weird.
It's extremely weird.
And then the next scene immediately starts with Felicity being like, oh yeah, by the way, Prince, I won you in cards. You're my slave now. We're all gonna have sex with you. Bonk.
Uh-huh.
like a caveman bonks,
yes.
their mates and takes them home to the cave.
In like some bad 50s cartoon or something, yeah.
And
I wanted to mention too with that bar brawl, the music during it, and same with the chase scene, like you were saying, like the monkey chase scene, it's always like bwomp, 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 bwomp,
it's these farty tubas and trombones and
it's the most we'll have to put some clips in here because it's indescribable how fucking out of place and bad it is. All the music in this is so off-putting.
The whole thing. But so the prince got taken prisoner, and then he uses his magic of playing a violin very poorly to put everyone to sleep, and then casually just leaves. Just gets up and walks out.
Yup.
There was no tension to any scene there.
I love that she kidnaps him at gunpoint and is like, haha, I won you at cards. If you have someone at gunpoint, you didn't need to win them at cards. Like,
no, it's binding. The gunpoint is binding now. Which comes up because the Duchess needs to sign away her will to the pirates, and that does matter. It's legally binding.
Well, they care about the legally binding part of the marriage, too, because they have to get a ship captain to marry. We'll get to that.
Can ship captains marry people?
Yes, that is actually a thing.
Speaking of ship captains,
oh boy, okay, yeah.
Gets abducted to the pirate ape ship where they keep losing their apes constantly.
He's constantly throwing apes overboard. They're always getting lost at sea. And many apes like overboard.
A galleon. You say it's sea. It's that desert.
The sand sea.
There's just a galleon in the sand for some reason.
There's zero explanation to this, by the way.
It is floating on the sand. I need to point out. It's not just sitting there.
Correct, yes. It has to be shipworthy. Otherwise, it would sink into the sand.
Into the sand. Which is relevant.
Yeah.
Why are there sand pirate apes?
What? I mean, at least it was interesting. I'll give them that. That was way more interesting than almost anything else in this.
The whole Duchess side plot is dumb as shit. Like, I don't understand any of it. Why is she trying to seduce this pirate ape, this Captain Ape?
Well, she's not seducing him. She's kidnapped by him, but she's just a royal fucking turd. So she's just real nasty to him, and
which he loves.
Super into that.
He's
so into that. He is extremely okay with all this physical and mental abuse.
She keeps getting him to get his underlings to make food for her, like macarons and stuff. But she also gets him to make an omelet, and she's a bird.
Well, and they do it with nutmeg.
Nutmeg omelet, and it's just weird.
They talk about all the nutmeg in it. It's
Tuscany
just
style. But the fact that she's eating her own young, like, or somebody else's young, it's a bird egg.
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of weirdness because they also, like, she's a bird and her son's a dog. Like, they just don't give a shit.
And the deer eats rat meat.
Yeah, later on they have Cinderella eating rat meat, which is like,
But why?
Okay. It's just... I mean, and I know that that's always, like, I'm not going to complain about how there are animals that aren't sentient in this, right? Like how they're riding ostriches instead of horses.
It's
which
almost
is actually weird too, but
them being animals is almost irrelevant. Is what
yeah, exactly.
Kind of
like,
getting at.
It's more just that they shuffled the animals around. Like, it's like, okay, well, we've got, like, we're going to have pirates. What should they be? I don't know. They'll all be apes. Wait, why? Why are all the pirates apes? And then and it's like, oh, well, you know, the Duchess and her son, obviously a peacock and a dog. And you're like, what? Why would it be a peacock? Like, it doesn't make sense inside of the logic of the universe. Like, if you look at Disney movies when they anthropomorphize animals, they're going to have, like, other animals that aren't anthropomorphized, right? Like, they might have horses that people ride or whatever. And that's fine. People, you just kind of brush over that. But then at least they have, like, similarities between families and stuff like that. Like, they try and make some sense of those things.
Felicity and her 2 daughters are dogs, and Cinderella's a deer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's as close as they get.
Yeah. Like, they actually, I was surprised that they had Felicity and the daughters kind of be the same type of animal. Although it's not just about them being the same type. It's that generally they try and make them look similar.
They're all different breeds and stuff.
Yeah, too. Like they could be related. And instead, Felicity is like this big, weird, smooth dog. She's
smooth dog.
She's so smooth. But like the daughters are really fluffy, like different dog. Like it just, they're so wildly different. Nothing visually makes sense.
Anyways, when the prince escapes with Cinderella and their Native American friend.
Oh, God.
They go into the desert, and the prince is like, oh, I have fallen in love with this lady I met at the bar brawl. And this is her tooth.
Saved her tooth.
To cherish forever.
I need to have everyone open their mouths so I can fit this tooth in it.
This is like in JoJo when part 4 when the evil guy is like keeping his toenail clippings and stuff.
Yes.
It's
gross.
Gross.
This is serial killer shit is what this is. Correct.
Gross.
Yeah, it's really gross and weird. It's really fucked.
But he keeps walking up to people. It's like, hey, let me put my fingers in your mouth and see if this tooth fits.
Like
What? Anyways, they go to a church, which is irrelevant, to sleep for the night, and then Felicity follows them on ostrich back and attacks them with her RPG and sniper rifle.
Yes.
Which sounds funny, but it's boring.
Yeah.
And she throws the tiniest bomb you've ever seen, like a bomb from Super Mario Brothers. And instead of a huge explosion, which would be a joke, it's just...
Yep. Like, honestly, if you had somebody making the noises of all the guns going pop, 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 it would probably be more impactful than the noises they actually use.
And they get away from them, Cinderella, Prince, and Little Cloud. And as they're going past a canyon that is full of apes, I guess, near the ape galleon, I think Prince Vladimir tells them all to be as cautious as the beaver.
Yes.
And I don't know what that means.
And then as silent as the worm.
What?
I don't know. So they're trying to sneak in.
But they get caught anyway.
Yeah, there's all this grand adventure, quote unquote, they have, like going down a river and all the shit to try and find.
And we also find out that Felicity has fallen for the prince and doesn't want him to go to her daughters at this point. And she hopes that the heat didn't get to his little head because they forgot to give him his tiny hat back at the bar brawl before he escaped. And she wants to fuck him.
I can't wait to get him. Yeah, she suddenly makes this turn when she gets to the pirate ship where she's like, I've got you now, Prince, and you're gonna marry me. I wanna fuck you. And he's like, oh God. And then everyone goes, ooh. And even the daughters are like,
the prince is just asking to put his fingers in people's mouths.
Yes.
It's just, God damn it.
And they shoot an RPG. So they find the pirate ship as the prince shows up there, and the prince and the ape man have a fight. Meanwhile, Felicity shoots an RPG at the side of the boat.
The galleon.
And that makes it sink into the sand because it's no longer sand.
Because it has a hole in it, so the sand is starting to fill in because it's so light and watery.
Anyway, so then the ship starts breaking apart, and she holds the captain at gunpoint. So that she's like, oh, you've got to marry us. Marry me and the prince. And then somebody lights a cannon under the captain. And
Cinderella...
Cinderella does. Yes.
The cannon is because...
Okay, yeah, explain this, please.
It's because Captain Ape's peg leg got replaced with a cannon 2 seconds earlier for some reason.
Because... Anyway.
And then Cinderella sneaks up and lights the cannon, which shoots him up into the sky like Team Rocket. And this is also before the scene where they knock the prince off the plank, and then he falls 30 feet to the sand below, which is water and not sand. And then he climbs back up the plank. Yes. That's hanging over...
Yes, it just shows him crawl up the side of the plank like he was holding onto the side of the plank.
His arms up like a really long arm? What did he do? How did he get back up there?
Yeah, I pointed that out and you were like,
wait.
Hey, wait. Yeah, no, wait, what? Like, yeah, no, it's fucking weird. How would he get there? And why would he climb the plank again?
Anyways, the sand galleon is sinking because it's been broken in half by a cannon that was on the
foot of the captain, I think.
The captain who was also marrying them. Legally binding. Everything in this movie is legally binding. I swear to God.
They care a lot about that.
If it's not on paper, it doesn't count. That's what Cinderella's about. If it's not on paper, it doesn't count.
But let's get to the important part, and that's that we finally fucking kill Felicity. Man, they're killing a lot of dogs in this movie.
I know, I love it. Finally, the dog's dead.
The dog's dead. She falls into the sand and they let her drown.
Her and her daughters both die.
Do the daughters die? The daughters don't die.
They were on the same side of the ship.
Yes, but they don't die. They show up at the end. No, they show up at the end. They don't show them drowning.
They should all die.
I don't know. Who cares? I agree with you there. There's also a really funny scene of Cinderella like reaching out her hand to rescue them as she like ties a rope around herself so that she doesn't fall so she can grab them.
I guess.
She would never fall because the ship is fucking flat where she is. So there's zero reason that she would need to have a rope to hold on to.
Sinking yet.
Only the one half of the ship is sinking. The other half is fine.
Her side will sink eventually, but not now.
Maybe? Will it? I don't know.
It's because...
Why would it sink in sand? It's on fucking flat sand. It's just on ground.
Felicity drowns in sand.
Yes.
Which is a horrible way to go, and I'm glad and I'm happy for her.
Correct.
And then as the rest of the ship is sinking, Little Cloud shows up with a vulture to pick them up. Like the eagles in fucking Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. And the Duchess gets on, and then the prince goes running after his tooth that he dropped, because he needs to find whose mouth fits this tooth. And if the tooth is gone, he'll never know who to smooch without a tooth.
I hate this. I hate that this is what they did with it.
It rattles down into the ship, so he goes under... down the stairs
to where that tooth, man.
Now the galleon has started on fire for some reason, and the explosive barrels that are also releasing toxic gas underneath in their storage area for some reason is where the tooth went. So him and Cinderella go in, and it immediately hard cuts to the explosion of the entire galleon in an atomic bomb mushroom cloud.
For how many explosions they have be pathetic little farts, this one is suddenly just like you said, like it's a fucking hydrogen bomb.
and you're like, oh, they're fucking dead.
Yeah, they would have to be. Like, it's
But
ridiculous how big this
somehow
explosion
the
is.
radiation doesn't even get them.
Yeah, they walk
And
away from it.
They're on a second vulture, a different one, which is not the one that came to save them. And how did that happen? And now they love each other, and he realized that that's his real Cinderella with the tooth missing.
Yeah, he reached in her mouth and shoved the tooth in. So now he knows.
Yeah. Yep. And then they rode off on the train into the sunset, happily ever after, or whatever. Cinderella.
Fuck.
You know, there are a couple things that Cinderella was missing. A giant dumpy ass.
Yeah, definitely.
The prince putting his fingers in her mouth.
Yes, yeah.
And,
Lots of
her
spitting. It definitely needed her to spit a lot more.
She
And
does.
she does it a
spit
lot. In this.
Yeah, she does. It also needed an RPG with gunfire from a Gatling gun and a Tommy gun and all this other cool stuff.
Yeah.
And it needed pirate apes.
That's
what the story was missing. So my question is, do the French and the Belgians think that the Wild West was harassed by pirate galleons?
Oh, hey, listen, this is just a traditional baguette western.
Baguette. This is like in...
it's so racist when you think when you look at like a spaghetti western. You're like, wow, actually, that's a really awful term. Yeah.
Was it one of the BioShocks that had Baguette Boy, where they just needed to have... So there's a story about a character that shows up. I think it's BioShock.
My reaction is not going to translate in audio. I recoiled when you said that. What?
So I think it's BioShock Infinite. There was a famous animation of they just needed a character to be out in the city, to be like Paris.
Sure.
So the animator ran out of time, and they're like, I don't fucking know. So they just put a kid, like a boy, running around a fountain with a baguette in his hand.
Oh my god.
And that became Baguette Boy as a joke. And later on, the animator's like, yeah, I was under really bad crunch, and I just needed to put something in the fucking scene. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of what this feels like, yeah.
That's what this feels like. They're like, well, we're under rush. We have to spend all of our money. We got $13 million. We're not going to spend not all of it. You know?
That's kind of how it feels why, like, a lot of the animal choices are what they are and stuff, is it just kind of feels like they pulled out whatever. Well, it feels like much like Food Fight or some other animated movies that we've seen like that, it feels like asset flips or something, right?
Something.
Where it's just like a lot of the animations feel very canned and repurposed, like, which is why they are so weird and stilted a lot of the time.
Everything's rigid, for sure. Yes. And smooth. Rigid and smooth.
But yeah. Like that, like, just for example, like the bar fight again. Like it kind of feels like they repurposed like dancing, but then just made like a hand reach out occasionally and do a slap in the middle of it. Like they modified it slightly. It feels like really canned animations for a lot of that. Or like his dodges. His dodge is just the same dodge when he dodges every single attack anytime during the movie, whether it was the bar brawl or the fight with the ape captain or whatever.
It's something.
It's got a weird energy to everything.
It definitely feels like a tax write-off to me.
Yes, that much is
which
very
is making
true.
a lot of sense when you think about it. But that's Cinderella 3D in the Far West, aka Cinderella Once Upon a Time in the West.
But boykes, we didn't go to the after credits scene that it needed.
Why did it have
We
more?
were so mad that it hadn't happened.
Why did it have more?
Why would you need to put
in the after credits scene, the Duchess...
It's a tax write-off. Go home, guys. It's Friday evening.
Is found by the Captain Ape, who is secretly in love with her, but also wants her to sign a will so that he can murder her, and she's really into that.
Well, she's also really into abusing him, and he's really into that.
And he's really into that.
I mean...
So...
Fair's play, I guess.
He's like, I finally found you. I've been stalking you all of my life. Please come back to me and sign this will so I can kill you. Oh no, I'm fainting. Now I can't sign that will. Oh no, she's fainting. Quick, someone, get the doctor. I just want you to live so I can kiss you. I will even get rid of this will so we can be married happily ever after, which I can do myself as the captain of this ship. It's like... Okay.
The end.
I guess they boned. I don't know what this ending means. Was it funny? Is it a funny ending scene? Is it setting up for the next film in the Cinderella 3D cinematic universe? What are they doing? Just fucking leave. You don't have to make this scene.
Like I said, like, it's a tax write-off. Go home, guys. Like, you're done. You filled your obligation. You got this movie in a tight hour and 20 minutes. Like, just finish it. I still can't believe this got a theatrical release. That's what really kills me.
Yeah. It's weird. By the way, I had to watch this on Tubi, because where we were originally watching it, Freevee, which used to be called IMDb TV until they changed it, had terrible ads. And my Tubi ad blocker
did overtime. It did a great
did
job.
overtime on this fucking movie. So he actually switched services mid-watch to spend as little time as possible watching this. That's the reason.
Oh,
really.
Yeah, we really do not need more.
I appreciate that of myself, to making that decision to improve my life.
I also appreciate that. Let's rate the dogs. What are you rating Felicity?
Smooth out of 10. Just the smoothest dog texture you've ever seen out of 10. I think that's got to be it.
I'm gonna rate her a Camel cigarettes out of 10.
Camel cigarette
because they're smooth,
of a bomb
but also
kind
of raspy like her voice.
Yeah, you see, we're all smooth down here.
And also, everybody always loves that cool anthropomorphized animal. You know that they fuck.
Yeah.
This movie really makes it clear that somebody was super fucking horny for these animals. There's a lot of hips.
Cinderella especially.
Oh yeah.
Is way too horny.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
I don't get it.
Like, it's a weird, subtle thing, the way that her and the prince talk, and, like normally when you see, like, a kid's movie, there's a way that they talk about being in love that's very sterile, in a way, whereas this, it's like, they're kind of, like, groped all over each other, and they're like, oh, yeah, you know, I think that I could really get to like you. And they're like,
he keeps asking her to open her mouth.
Yeah, like, look. And then she spits, and it's just, oh god. Like,
don't worry, the animators spent extra time on those.
They kind of did. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, let's rate Vladimir, the prince. He's boring. He puts no effort into anything. He has a shitty violin.
I was gonna say a Pokemon melody out of 10. Just like,
and
have you heard my melody of Pokemon?
He's talking about the Poke Rap. I cannot.
Because he's playing this shitty violin in the worst way possible. Little recorders in the background. His music is so fucking bad.
I don't like the prince. I don't hate the prince. I just don't give a shit, I think is where I'm at on that character. It's whatever. I would rate him like a smooth human face with a latex animal face over it out of 10.
I'm gonna rate him 4 out of 10 because I think that's about how many fingers he puts in people's mouths when he's testing out the tooth.
Anyway,
fingers.
This movie was a mistake.
I'm also gonna we have another dog to rate. Well, we gotta rate the daughters. Scoliosis out of 10. Done. Over.
I would rate the daughters a recorder playing of the Titanic song.
Yeah.
Out of 10.
They have a real good shitty flute scene with them, and the way her feet are so broken. Like their walk animations and stuff for them in particular are so fucked. They're so off. They look really off-putting.
And if we made this sound interesting, I will assure you, it is not. Don't
throw away our gift.
Goddamn time on this.
It's really bad.
It's not worth your time.
Unwatchable. So thank you for helping us pay for buying movies like this, which thankfully we didn't have to this time because it's free on IMDb TV with ads. And you can always check us out on social media. We really appreciate everybody, though, who's been helping us out with Patreon and everything like that. It does make a big difference because we do pay for a lot of these movies, surprisingly enough. like Pixels last week, which Boykes paid a whole like $6 American to watch. And,
I knew we should have watched My Invisible Dad. We screwed up.
We fucked up. We fucked up real bad. But yeah, you can always check us out on various social media. We're on Blue Sky and co-host at Rough Cuts Cast on both of those. And you can always email us at roughcutscast@gmail.com. Send us anything that you might find interesting, suggestions for movies, things like that. We found more movies by seeing the suggested list of this one, so don't worry, we're not running out anytime soon.
I'm hoping we can find an Antonio Bandai Namco movie at some point. I've been waiting for those.
Yeah, they don't really release a lot of movies anymore, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
They've really gotten more into the pachinko stuff. I really want to see the pachinko machine.
The Konami pachinko movies? Oh boy. Fuck.
No, don't you look at me like that, Cinderella. You're straying down a crooked
Why did they render the
path,
cloaca?
stop your grinning.
It's incredible. There's not a single guy in this
I don't know, I'm just asking questions.